TheOdd1sOut. The man who turned doodles about Subway sandwiches into a YouTube empire, a Netflix show, a mobile game, and enough merch to open a department store. But with great success comes great complaints. From algorithm favoritism to wooden voice acting, lazy writing, and accusations that his brand is more commercial than creative, James has given fans plenty to debate. Buckle up, because this is Everything Wrong with Odd1sOut. Sorry to interrupt, but somewhere in the multiverse, a talking toaster just subscribed before you did. Fix that, please? Thanks. Critics say, snooze fest. So let's talk about Season 1 of Oddballs, also known as Netflix's bold experiment in how far you can stretch the definition of comedy before it snaps. Critics did not hold back. Oh no. One review on Rotten Tomatoes literally called it boring and unfunny, which is critic code for I regret watching this more than the time I ate gas station sushi. The animation was described as lackluster, the characters as unlikable, and the humor as, well, non-existent. Imagine going in expecting Odd1sOut's classic chaotic storytelling and instead getting a dollar store knockoff of Phineas and Ferb. Fans tuned in for laughs and relatability, but instead they got a parade of jokes that land harder than wet noodles. And the animation? Let's just say if this is what Netflix money looks like, someone should be investigated for fraud. Half the time it feels like the characters are floating around in a PowerPoint presentation instead of an animated world. James's blob character might have worked on YouTube, but blown up on TV, it's like watching the world's most boring marshmallow try to act. Add in dialogue that sounds like it was written during a mandatory corporate retreat, and you've got the recipe for pure mediocrity. The tragedy here is that people wanted this show to succeed. James had hype, fans, and a massive platform. But instead of delivering, Season 1 set expectations so low, it was basically a limbo competition. Congrats, Oddballs. You're the first Netflix show that actually made people nostalgic for the Big Show show. Oddballs. Canceled. Remember when TheOdd1sOut hyped up his Netflix debut like it was going to change animation forever? 2 seasons later, Oddballs got axed. 20 episodes in total, and then, canceled. Fans weren't shocked, critics weren't shocked. Honestly, the only people surprised were probably James's accountants. The writing was on the wall from the start. Critics called Season 1 boring and unfunny. Season 2, a mild improvement at best, and audiences never fully latched on. The hype faded fast, and Netflix, famous for cutting shows without mercy, dropped the axe. Some blamed low viewership, others pointed to the constant criticism of its weak writing, shallow characters, and watered-down humor. Whatever the reason, Oddballs joined the graveyard of forgotten Netflix originals. And here's the brutal part. Cancellation confirmed what critics had been saying all along. James had the platform, the budget, and the audience to succeed. Instead, he delivered a show so forgettable that people were shocked it lasted 2 seasons. The biggest legacy Oddballs left was proving that YouTubers can get Netflix deals, but not necessarily keep them. Cartoon violence for kids. Yes, nothing says wholesome family entertainment like cartoon toasters casually killing people. According to Common Sense Media, Oddballs serves up a delightful buffet of lots of violence, injury, and scariness. Though don't worry, parents, it's cartoonish. Because clearly when your kid watches a balloon character get squished into oblivion or a toaster go full homicidal maniac, it's fine as long as the blood is green. Who needs Saturday morning cereal when you can start your child's day with existential terror in animated form? Critics pointed out that some scenes are way more intense than expected for the age group Netflix marketed this to. But hey, trauma builds character, right? James somehow managed to turn what was supposed to be a goofy slice-of-life comedy into a fever dream of mild horror. Parents expecting Bluey instead got a budget Saw, but with more bubble baths and sarcasm. TheOdd1sOut basically proved that you can terrify children without even trying, all while maintaining the excuse. It's just cartoons. Who cares if kids have nightmares about homicidal appliances? At least the merch sales are still fire. Literally. Shifting into trouble. You'd think making a video mocking a group of people who literally believe they can reality shift into Hogwarts fanfiction would be harmless fun. But nope, James somehow managed to make it look like he was punching down on kids with too much free time. His video on the reality shifting community caused backlash because many fans felt dismissed or ridiculed. Sure, it's a group of people who believe lying in bed with specific affirmations lets them wake up next to Draco Malfoy, but hey, at least they're harmless. TheOdd1sOut, though, thought this was the perfect group to roast because apparently low-hanging fruit is his favorite snack. Instead of, I don't know, framing it with nuance or empathy, James went full, haha, this is dumb mode. And the internet shockingly didn't appreciate the smug dismissal. Reddit lit up with posts calling him out for being insensitive. And suddenly, the Marshmallow Man looked less like a comedian and more like a bully picking on fan community. Reality shifters might be cringy, but at least they're not hypocrites with Netflix contracts. Honestly, James, you should have shifted realities yourself, preferably into one where this video never got posted. Mobile game meltdown. Remember when TheOdd1sOut roasted mobile games for being full of ads and greedy microtransactions? Yeah, about that. Fast forward a few years, and he launches his very own mobile game, complete with, you guessed it, ads and microtransactions. Fans instantly called him out for hypocrisy, because apparently when James does it, it's not selling out, it's branding. Let's Bounce was marketed as a fun little side project, but players quickly found it tedious, grindy, and shamelessly money-hungry. One review basically summed it up as a game about bouncing where the only thing bouncing is your patience. Critics on Reddit tore it apart, saying it felt like a lazy cash grab, especially from someone who literally built his reputation on mocking this exact business model. It's like if Gordon Ramsay opened a restaurant and only served frozen microwave dinners. The irony is so strong it could power an entire server farm of disappointed fans. TheOdd1sOut basically told his audience, microtransactions are bad, unless they're mine. Then cough up the money, kiddos, peak YouTuber logic. Netflix, but make it bland. The Netflix series Oddballs was supposed to be James's big leap from YouTube legend to mainstream animation star. Instead, critics called it watered-down, kid-friendly mush that stripped away the humor that made him famous. According to reviews like the Tacoma Ledger, Oddballs felt safe, formulaic, and about as edgy as a butter knife. Fans who loved his quirky storytelling and relatable childhood rants suddenly got stuck with generic, wacky hijinks that felt like they were written by an A. I trained on SpongeBob reruns. Sure, it had bright colors, zany sidekicks, and a talking crocodile, but missing was the raw charm that made his channel blow up in the first place. TheOdd1sOut became, well, just one more bland kids cartoon in Netflix's endless graveyard of canceled shows. And spoiler alert, it was canceled after 2 seasons. Shocking. It turns out that if you stand off all the humor, edge, and originality to chase a younger demographic, you end up with a show that appeals to no one. Not kids, not teens, not adults, just a shiny, balloon-shaped participation trophy. Thanks, James. Lazy writing, lazy laughs. Ah yes, Oddballs. The show where all the quirk and charm of Odd1sOut's YouTube storytelling somehow got left in a blender on puree. Critics weren't just unimpressed, they straight up called the characters unlikable and the writing shallow. Think about that. James, the guy who turned spilling milk into a 6-minute comedic saga on YouTube, suddenly drops a Netflix show where jokes hit flatter than a pancake in a steamroller factory. Reviewers expected that signature mix of awkward relatability and sharp timing. Instead, they got plots that feel like they were written on the back of a napkin after a NyQuil binge. And don't even start on the characters. If you thought Marshmallow Man who screams at everything was going to carry an entire season, surprise! It doesn't. The supporting cast? Half-baked archetypes with the depth of a kiddie pool. People tuned in hoping for edgy humor from his early days, but got reheated leftovers. It's the equivalent of opening your favorite cereal box and finding it filled with stale packing peanuts. So yeah, Oddballs may have Netflix money behind it, but somehow it looks like it was storyboarded in Microsoft Paint and written by someone who thinks random equals funny. Cash grab. Remember when TheOdd1sOut felt like that kid doodling in class and making fun of himself? Now it feels like he's running the Hallmark version of YouTube. A carefully polished brand empire complete with merch, books, a Netflix show, a video game, and probably a branded lunchbox on the way. Fans have noticed the shift, and it's not exactly subtle. The same guy who once preached about the downsides of consumerism now has enough product lines to rival Disney. Sure, he's got plushies, shirts, posters, board games, you name it. But at what cost? The quirky, relatable James has been replaced with corporate James, who seems more focused on quarterly earnings than quirky storytelling. The Reddit threads are basically group therapy sessions. Remember when his videos felt personal? Yeah, before I had to mortgage my house to buy his merch bundle. And the irony? His brand is making fun of sellouts. Congratulations, James. You've become the punchline of your own joke. Too old for oddballs. Remember when Odd1sOut videos were basically the YouTube equivalent of hanging out with your older sibling who roasted the world in doodles? Yeah, those days are gone. Now, his content feels like it was written by a committee of kindergarten teachers after 3 juice boxes and a nap. Former fans, the ones who grew up on his early stuff, have noticed the downgrade, and they're not shy about saying it. Reddit threads are littered with people reminiscing about when James would tell stories about school, awkward jobs, or adult-ish situations that actually connected with teens and college kids. Today, it's James the babysitter, delivering jokes that sound like they were tested in a focus group of second graders. The issue isn't just that he's catering to younger audiences. The issue is that he seems to have abandoned the audience that got him here. His early vibe was relatable and chaotic older brother. His current vibe is Nick Jr. guest star who teaches you to share. Fans have described his Netflix show, Oddballs, as basically unwatchable unless you're under 12 or babysitting someone under 12, which is fine, except it leaves his longtime followers wondering, did I grow out of him, or did he shrink down to avoid scaring toddlers? Either way, his edge is gone. And the kicker? When older fans call him out, they're told to move on, or he's just evolving. Evolving into what exactly? A discount Caillou? At least Caillou committed to being annoying. James is playing it so safe that his biggest plot twist lately is probably whether he orders sprinkles on his ice cream. Congrats, Odd1sOut. You've officially become the animated participation trophy of YouTube. Credit where credit isn't due. Let's get one thing straight. Odd1sOut did not invent the storytime animation genre. Nope. Before James Blob walked onto the scene, creators like Domix, Jaden Animations, and Something Else YT were already grinding out high-quality, personal, and funny animated stories. But who gets all the Netflix deals, mainstream interviews, and Barnes and Noble shelf space? James. It's the equivalent of showing up to a potluck with store-bought chips and then watching everyone crown you MasterChef. The criticism here isn't that James isn't talented. It's that he's credited as the face of storytime animation, while others, arguably more original and creative, get left in his marshmallow-shaped shadow. His style is simple, yes, but sometimes simple just looks like lazy. People joke that his art looks like it was drawn in MS Paint with a mouse from 2003, while other animators spend weeks polishing detailed scenes. Yet James is the one who became the genre's poster child. Talk about being the Nickelback of storytime animation. Massively popular, but constantly accused of being overrated. And let's not forget the irony. The same community he benefited from is the one he's accused of outshining unfairly. While his peers hustle to get 1 million views, he posts a doodle rant about Subway sandwiches and racks up 50 million. Originality? Please. He's been called out for recycling tropes, piggybacking off the format others built, and packaging it as the TheOdd1sOut brand. It's less innovation, more colonization. Welcome to the Blob Empire. So yes, James is talented at something, marketing himself as the pioneer of a genre that already existed. He's basically the Christopher Columbus of YouTube animation. He didn't discover anything, but boy, does he act like he did. Playing it safe. There was a time when Odd1sOut content had teeth. Not fangs, but at least a baby tooth. He'd joke about life's absurdities, poke fun at himself, and sometimes tiptoe into awkward or dark territory. But fast forward to today, and his content has been sandblasted into the safest, blandest material imaginable. It's so sanitized you could air it on PBS Kids right after Arthur. Why? Simple. Ad money, brand deals, and fear of controversy. And the result is brutal. His videos now have the comedic edge of a lukewarm cup of water. Fans have noticed the change. Old videos felt like hanging out with your sarcastic buddy. New ones feel like the buddy went corporate and is now giving you a seminar on fun. His punchlines land softer than a feather pillow. His setups are predictable, and heaven forbid he risks saying something edgy that might ruffle feathers. Instead of biting humor, we get, oops, I dropped my ice cream as peak comedy. Riveting stuff. Some argue this is just maturity, but come on. There's a difference between maturing and neutering your entire brand. James went from semi-edgy class clown to the YouTube equivalent of a substitute teacher telling dad jokes while begging for silence. The sad part? Playing it safe doesn't even protect you. The reality-shifting backlash, the game hypocrisy, the oddballs criticism, they all happen despite him sandpapering his content down to G-rated mush. So what's left? A channel that feels like it's more worried about being sponsor-friendly than entertaining. And in a space like YouTube, where boldness gets attention, James is basically waving a white flag. Playing it safe may pay the bills, but it also turned TheOdd1sOut into the creative version of unsalted crackers. Fine if you're starving, but nobody's craving it. Season 2, still snoozing? Ah yes, Season 2 of Oddballs. The comeback tour nobody asked for, but Netflix gave us anyway. To be fair, critics and fans admitted it was slightly better than Season 1. Like, comparing a soggy sandwich to one that's just mildly stale. Improvement? Technically, yes. Worth celebrating? Only if your bar for comedy is set somewhere around cartoon fart sound. Some episodes showed glimmers of potential, but for every half-decent gag, there were entire stretches where viewers just sat there waiting for something, anything to be funny. Instead, they got drawn-out plots and humor so stretched thin you could use it as cling wrap. The pacing? Imagine a turtle in molasses trying to explain a knock-knock joke. Critics noted it still dragged, which is code for, I considered scrubbing through, but decided my dignity wasn't worth the effort. And let's talk expectations. Fans were hoping Season 2 would finally justify the hype around James's big Netflix debut. Instead, it basically confirmed that Oddballs is destined to live in the bargain bin of Netflix originals right next to The Who Was show. People said it never fully lived up to what made TheOdd1sOut funny on YouTube. The personal touch, the chaotic energy, the relatable awkwardness. Strip all that away, and you're left with a sanitized cartoon blob wandering through painfully generic storylines. So yeah, Season 2 wasn't a total dumpster fire. But let's be honest, calling it an improvement is like saying, hey, this root canal wasn't as bad as the last one. Minimalism or laziness. Let's talk animation. TheOdd1sOut's style has always been simple. White blob characters, plain backgrounds, and minimal motion. Early on, that was part of the charm. The crude drawings made his awkward storytelling even funnier. But years later, fans are asking, has he actually improved, or is he just phoning it in? Critics argue that while his channel grew into $1 million brand, his animation barely leveled up from intro to flash cartoons. The result? Videos that feel more formulaic and less effort-driven. It's not that simplicity is bad. Some of the greatest cartoons, South Park, Cyanide, and Happiness, thrive on minimalism. But they make up for it with sharp writing and fresh ideas. James, meanwhile, has leaned so heavily on his blob character that newer videos often feel like copy-paste jobs with recycled jokes. Critics say it's less quirky style and more cutting corners. Add in his books, merch, and Netflix show, and fans wonder if YouTube even gets his full attention anymore. The worst part? His peers. Jaden Animations, Domix, even newcomers, have shown clear artistic evolution, while James seems stuck in 2015. That contrast makes his work feel lazy, even if it's intentional minimalism. And for a guy who's built an empire, fans expected something more polished. Instead, his channel feels like a sketch pad he occasionally dusts off between product launches. So here's the roast. James turned simplistic art into a global brand, but at this point his animation style is less cute minimalism and more PowerPoint presentation with sound effects. From relatable to diluted. There was a time when Odd1sOut felt personal. James sharing awkward teen moments, bad jobs, or weird family stories. But somewhere between launching plushies, books, mobile games, and a Netflix show, that intimacy disappeared. Critics argue he's diluted his brand into a soulless corporate empire, trading relatability for marketability. The Blob isn't just a character anymore, it's a mascot plastered on every product imaginable. Sure, expanding into merch and media is every creator's dream. But with James, the scale of it has made his content feel secondary. Fans complain that the YouTube videos, once the heart of his empire, now feel like glorified ads for the TheOdd1sOut cinematic universe. One article even described it as a shift from storytelling to brandification. Instead of connecting with his audience, James connects with their wallets. The irony is brutal. His whole shtick was making fun of consumerism and selling out. Now, he's the poster child for both plushies, board games, clothing lines, Netflix deals. It's like he speed ran the corporate ladder and forgot where he started. Fans say he's lost the charm that made him stand out, becoming the YouTube equivalent of a Funko Pop. Mass-produced, marketable, but hollow. 6 seconds of chaos. You know your career's in trouble when a 6-second clip almost gets you canceled. At one point, James posted a short video that some people found offensive enough to spark calls for his cancellation. The clip itself? Quick, dumb, and not exactly his finest moment. But in today's climate, 6 seconds is all it takes to set Twitter on fire. The backlash was immediate. Fans and critics accused him of crossing the line, and suddenly Odd1sOut, the Safe for Kids YouTuber, was facing cancel culture heat. James ended up posting an apology, which critics called half-baked and fans called damage control. The vibe was less "I regret this deeply" and more "please don't destroy my merch sales over a meme." And that's the problem. His apology felt like brand protection, not accountability. When you build a squeaky clean image, any slip-up feels catastrophic. A single 6-second joke suddenly becomes a referendum on your entire career. James learned the hard way that being family-friendly doesn't make you bulletproof. It just means people will dissect every second of your content looking for cracks. Algorithm darling complaints. Oh look, it's James, the chosen one of the almighty YouTube algorithm. While other animators are clawing their way out of the digital gutter with videos that take months to finish, TheOdd1sOut sneezes out a doodle of himself tripping over a toaster, and boom, 20 million views. Critics and smaller creators have pointed out for years that the algorithm seems to shower him with all the love while starving the very community that made the storytime animation trend popular in the first place. It's like the rich get richer. But instead of money, it's thumbnails with a shocked face and neon arrows. What makes it worse? James built his early career joking about being a relatable average guy, yet somehow he turned into YouTube's golden child, stomping on the indie scene like Godzilla in a cardigan. The problem isn't just jealousy, it's structural. Once the algorithm crowns you, your videos keep popping up on recommended like an uninvited house guest, while other animators vanish into the void. Fans notice, smaller creators notice, and yes, Reddit definitely notices. So while James's stick figures are cashing in checks from Netflix, there are animators busting their backs for years who never even sniff a million views. But hey, I guess YouTube just decided the market only has room for one funny cartoon guy with round heads and quirky life stories. Congrats, James, you didn't just beat the system, you are the system. Voice acting critiques. Here's the thing. James might be funny on YouTube, but when Oddballs hit Netflix, suddenly he had to carry a whole series with, brace yourself, actual voice acting. And the reviews? Brutal. Multiple critics and fans alike called his performance monotonous, flat, and as emotionally expressive as a robot reading a grocery list. Ouch. On YouTube, that low energy delivery is part of the charm. You're watching a doodle complain about Subway sandwiches, fine. But on Netflix, audiences expected SpongeBob-level personality, not guy half asleep in a recording booth. And when your show revolves around your character, Bad delivery isn't just a minor detail, it's the whole problem. Even professional reviewers singled it out, saying his voice lacked range, timing, and punch. It didn't help that other characters in Oddballs were voiced by seasoned professionals, which only highlighted how wooden his performance was in comparison. Imagine entering a talent show where everyone sings opera, and you just hum into a kazoo. This isn't just nitpicking. Voice acting is its own craft, with years of training behind it, and James dove in like, how hard can it be? Turns out, pretty hard. The result was a series that often felt lifeless, with scenes that dragged because the lead sounded like he was narrating a PowerPoint instead of starring in a cartoon. Netflix money can buy animation studios and merch deals, but apparently it can't buy vocal inflection. And there you have it. What do you think of Odd1Out? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.